How's it going, guys? This is Coach Ed, and I'm the founder of Respect the Whistle. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. And so today, I'm going to tell you why I became a coach. Okay, realistically though, my father's been coaching for 22 years, so it's almost like I had to become a coach. Like, what else did I ever do? I always was the water boy for his teams. Always around. I think my father's brothers coached, and then their kids played, and I was always the last one to make the team, like try out, experience it. And then I had a couple runnings where I quit and I was like, man, Dad, nobody's coaching me. Cause it was just like, get up, get the ball, hit somebody. Get up, get the ball, hit somebody. And I was like, man, I don't think I'm accustomed to playing that style of football. Now, we all know when you grew up in the streets, you play throw up tackles, sideline pop, and all that great stuff. And usually you can just get away from guys if you're athletic and things like that. And there was not a lot of structure to it. Well, when it was time to play organized football, my dad really wouldn't say much about it because I think he was a little like, yeah, that's my son. I don't want to coach my son. So he really didn't say a whole lot or really wanted to coach me. It was like all the other guys. So I remember myself being young and just saying like, I'm done. I'm cool. I'm quitting, because I didn't want to do hitting drills. But when it came to being like the quickest guy out there or the fastest guy out there, catching passes, throwing the ball, all that good stuff, I was like that guy. And so sure enough, I finally got the opportunity to make the football team when I was 13 years old. And yeah, my dad wasn't coaching that team. His best friend was. And so I remember the first play like it was yesterday. It was a scrimmage game, and it was a toss, and I was playing DN, and all I did was just stay outside, and I like ran into the guy. And I made a tackle, and I was like, yo, this is what it's all about. I think the guys were hitting me so hard in the head that I got a concussion from them hitting me in the head in opposed to me, making a tackle. And so I was like, man, this is cool. This is great. I like this. I think I like the whole idea of just making plays. And so all I did playing DN at the youth level was just staying outside. And then they moved me to receiver. And so I played DN and receiver. First time experience going both sides of the ball. And then this transition to going to high school. Well, when I went to high school, I didn't play football my first year. My dad was at a different school. I was at a different school. And so then my sophomore year, I transferred out and went to the same school my dad was at. And then that's when I was exposed to a lot of different athletes. The crazy part about this was because I was so naturally gifted, I was making plays right away. And at that point, I became a full-time receiver. And so that experience was great, learned a lot of things, and that was like the start of my career. So I went on to become a two-time All-League high school football player at defensive back. I played in the high school All-Star game, played in the junior college All-Star game, and then went off to become the #1 recruit at Briarcliff University. Had a hell of a career, was a captain on the football team, was a part of the leadership committee. But the crazy part about my experience at the college level was because my father had instilled these values like watching film, throughout the weeks, watching football games on Sundays, watching USC play. And we just talked football so much that I became a student of the game. And so when I would be part of these programs where I'm listening to the coaches talk, and it was like, Eddie, I don't think we ever said anything like this. Like, you're one of those type of players where we don't have to say much about because you're just so good. You know where you need to be in the defenses. You communicate. You have very good man skills. By the way, I was a defensive back. I mean, I'm not very tall, but I was fast. You just know where you need to be. You knew where the linebackers need to be. You knew where the safeties need to be. And so, like, a guy like you is going to do well. You're going to become a great coach someday. I also learned about being a coach by looking at how the other coaches were coaching. And I'd be like, you know what? I like that coach. Or no, I didn't like that coach. And so I learned just by observing. So when I got to college and I was done and it was all said and done, and I took those leadership skills with what my father showed me and taught me, and all the little friends that would just talk ball in the dorms, I took all that up and I told the coaches when I got done with playing ball that, hey, you know what? I want to be a coach. No problem. Worked my first year at the college level. It says, Coach, we can't put you at DBs because you already played DB. So we have to move you to linebackers. So I'm like, sure, I got this. And so I remember like it was yesterday, the defensive coordinator was like, hey, you're going to be a field coordinator, but you got to set up drills. And I'm watching him run the drills. I was like, yeah, you can run those drills. But like, I got energy. Like, I know I can do these drills too. And so he gave me a shot. I went home, watched some YouTube stuff, talked to my boys in the dorms. Like, bro, I get an opportunity to coach. And sure enough, I got out there the next day and started running my drills. And I think the boys were so fired up with the energy I had and attention to detail to my drills that they just gravitated towards it. And then that was the start. And when I tell you it was like music to my ears, like, wait, I get to teach the LBs, and the LBs are doing their lateral drops and they're rerouting, they're coming downhill, and then we start talking gaps and things like that, and then we start talking scheme. And I'll never forget, I'm listening to the headsets on game day, and the defensive coordinator yelling, "Coach, who got the A guy? Who got the A guy?" I'm like, "Coach, that's the mic, and that's the buck." And then it just became like, it felt like I was supposed to be there. Like, it felt like I was supposed to be a coach at that moment. Like, it was one like God's calling. And so sure enough, I've been coaching ball for, this is my 13th consecutive year in 5 different states. I've had stints in Iowa, South Dakota, Minnesota, Arizona, California. I've done hundreds of coaching clinics. And I'm young, I think that this is what God called me to do. One of my mentors was very clear about not making this thing be about me, and allowing God to just use me and my energy to do what I love to do. And so that's why I coach, and I would consider myself to be a pretty solid coach. Stay tuned for more. I have plenty of stories to share with you guys. I'm fired up, but just remember this, no matter what, just make sure you respect the whistle. Peace.